I am Steve Klinedinst, just like you with tattoos, a punk survivor. Well, it was March 1st, 2010. Well, actually, a week before that, felt like someone was just stabbing me in the leg and twisting it over and over. I ignored it for about a week until it got to like where I couldn't get out of bed. Went to the hospital. After multiple blood work, CAT scan, ultrasound, a doctor or a nurse practitioner followed in by 3 doctors threw down the news that you probably have lymphoma, followed by a biopsy. It took 3 months to get the diagnosis, but when I went to the hospital, all I felt was fear because like I never had pain that bad. And when she said the C-bomb, I was just like, I'm gonna die. And I was like thinking about living wills and all that stuff. And then July of that year, I started chemo, and I was like, the only little bit of control I felt I had at that time was my hair, and the chemo was going to kill it. So depression, sorrow, anger. And then 6 months later, I was in remission. And then 2 Julys ago, I was given the news I was quote unquote cured. And there was a whole multitude. I remember when I went to Hopkins for a PET scan, I was feeling like mentally like not good, or like a lot of self-pity, like just depressed, and like physically like crap pretty much. And I walked past the children's cancer ward, and I remember seeing like 3 babies like and their parents holding them, and their parents like holding back tears. And I realized like I could potentially be dying any day now. But I've been given almost a full life, yet these poor kids like haven't even been able to walk or talk yet. So although my situation sucked, it wasn't as bad as theirs. So I found, weirdly enough, some gratitude in the whole thing. At first, it was like absolute fear, and then I just denial, because I was 24, getting ready to turn 25. I was like, there's no way I can have cancer. Like, nope, not me. And then when I go to more and more appointments, it became almost surreal. Like I was watching myself, like this isn't my life. Like this is weird. And then I remember I went to Hopkins for my last biopsy, and I'm laying in the bed with the gown and the weird cap they make you wear. And I just remember like crying, like I'm probably going to die, because it was going on 3 months and they weren't figuring out exactly what was going on. And I remember calling Hopkins every day, like demanding they give me the results, and they're like, please just be patient, Mr. Klinedinst, we know you're scared, blah blah blah. And when they told me I was diagnosed with stage 4B Classic Hodgkins Lymphoma, I thanked the lady, and she's like, that's not the normal reaction. And I told her, I was like, well, now that we know what the problem is, we have a solution and I can get better. And so like from that point, minus like a couple bits here and there with the chemo and stuff, like I was just eager to get it all behind me. I just wanted to be done. But truth be told, like once you get a diagnosis like that, it's never over. Like the first year, the first and last thing I thought about was cancer. And then the second year, it was like maybe once a month. And now it's only if I get like a real bad pain. I would have liked to met more younger people with dealing with cancer. And the ones I did all had terminal stuff. So then I got weird survivor's guilt. It's because most people don't get it in their early 20s. And the ones that do, it's usually not good news. So I would have liked to meet more people who were on the upside. That way, like we could, just talk about whatever, like just scream into the air or something with each other. Like it was just weird, because I went to one support group, but it was all like with blood cancers, they're typically all terminal. So then I stopped going because I felt bad, because I was going to live and they probably weren't, and it was just depressing. I think it's like 25% of all Americans have tattoos, but typically when you're fully covered in them, people will think you're a drug addict, convict, done jail time, especially when you have a bunch of jail-style tattoos. But a lot of people just ask questions like, do they mean anything? Does it hurt? How bad does it hurt? Some like older generations typically will shy away from it and like just look at me funny, especially with the piercings. The first time I moved to Lancaster, my neighbor would just stare at me for the first 2 weeks, and then she finally called me over. She was probably like 65, 70. We had a real nice conversation going, and at the end she said, you know, Jesus really wouldn't approve of those tattoos. Immediately cut off any communication I was willing to have with her at that point. I felt like there was not like a huge connection, but like we were connecting a little bit, and then immediately she throws in judgment. So I felt like the whole conversation was just aroused to tell me how she felt about her religious views of it. As long as I can remember, not due to any circumstances, I just always never felt a part of like society or like even with family and friends until I discovered the whole punk scene. Like my whole life I've been consumed with what people think and how I'm supposed to behave and act. And the first show I ever went to, like no one cared. Like it was like I was just welcome for just existing pretty much. So like it was the first place I felt really at home anywhere. It's just a weird collaboration of everything. Like everyone gets, well, for the most part, everyone gets along. You got the drug addicts, the alcoholics, you got the straight edge kids. Then you got like the weird kid who you would see at school and never associate with. It's really well, and then you got like the girl who's friends with the bands who probably doesn't belong at the show, and her boyfriend's annoyed by all the other punk kids. But it was the first time I really felt alive. Like I could just be me. I could dance. I could sing along with the bands. I could like mosh and express my anger that way, and like it just killed any fear I had.